Well, let's get this over with. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm ready. Um, what's going on, people? This is Derek J407 here to give you my recap of WWE WrestleMania 34 live in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. I was live in attendance at WrestleMania this year. Had a seat not in the aisleway, but kind of near the aisleway. I was a little ways back, but I could still see most things. Had a good view of like different Titantrons and of the ring for that matter. Pretty pricey tickets, especially for all 7 of us who were there, but it was okay. So this show, how do I even describe it? For someone who just watched it on the network or at a bar or something like that, I imagine their thoughts are much different than mine for actually being there in the crowd for a lot of the matches and seeing a lot of the outcomes up close. But this WrestleMania left me very confused. It put me in a very deep philosophical thinking state. I'm almost speechless. And yeah, I intend on talking for a little while here. Not too long, because God knows this WrestleMania went too long. It did go past 11 p.m., but I know for some here in the States that it went past midnight. And I know for people overseas, it went all the way up to 5 in the morning. So I bet that was lovely, especially with the finish of that main event and many finishes and booking decisions on this show. But, yeah, I'm going to try to get through this. This is a few hours after the show that I'm recording this. I managed to go head up a bar after WrestleMania, Bar Tonics, I think it was called. Got one of the famous New Orleans drinks, a Hurricane. Don't know if you can hear, that's the rattling of my drink here. Give me a second. That's pretty good. I'm gonna need that to get through this review. Yeah, WrestleMania was a very perplexing show. Just judging by what a lot of you thought on Twitter, you don't really know what to make of this show either, and neither do I. I'm left in a daze. Brock Lesnar, still Universal Champion. AJ Styles, still WWE Champion, but Shinsuke Nakamura turns heel afterwards. Another streak dies in New Orleans. Braun Strowman wins the tag team titles with a child. And somehow on a show with matches like that triple threat for the Intercontinental title, the triple threat for the tag team titles, Nakamura and AJ, Brock and Roman, Charlotte and Asuka, somehow the best match of the entire night was a mixed tag team match involving Ronda Rousey and Stephanie McMahon. Let me repeat that. A match involving Stephanie McMahon was the best match of the entire show. Don't you dare argue with me, because you will lose. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but your opinion will be wrong. Maybe it's the drinks. I've had 2 cups of this already. This is my 3rd one here in my hotel. I don't want to let you know how much I drank at the bar. Let's just say I did not drive myself back to my hotel. So we're going to see how I can get through this review here. So I guess we can start out from the kickoff show. Now, before I do anything, let me get some positives out the way. The stadium was beautiful. The stage setup was beautiful. You know, the Mardi Gras mask or whatever was the big center piece. It looked really beautiful. A lot of the people in my section that I was sitting around, I was sitting in front of and behind, a lot of them were really nice people. They were nice, but we had kids in my crew, in my section. It was my girlfriend, her little brother. It was about a few of my little cousins, and my brother and his daughter. So it was fun. It was fun for all of us, all the kids. They had a good time. Us adults who my girlfriend isn't as big a wrestling fan as my brother and I, but she got into it, and so yeah, this was definitely an interesting show. But it was fun in those aspects. Getting to our seats was no problem. So a lot of that stuff. So now that I got that out of the way, let's just run through this card, which is a difficult task, but I'm going to try to do it. Started the pre-show, which just seems like such a lifetime ago at this point. The pre-show was so early and so long ago. It feels like it happened ages ago. But so on the pre-show, we got footage of Fanboy Cena, as I like to call him. John Cena in a t-shirt and jeans was right there in the front row. He was signing autographs and taking pictures with people and all that kind of stuff. But no, John Cena was in the crowd, as he was for the remaining pre-show matches and the first 2 matches on the main show, which you knew because apparently Kevin Dunn kept cutting to John Cena throughout some of these matches. I think every single match, according to you guys, every single match up until he left, Kevin Dunn kept cutting to John Cena in the crowd. So that was a lot of focus on someone who's just a fan. I get he's a special fan, but still. So the first match on the pre-show was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. No one got an entrance. Everyone just came out during a commercial or something like that. Nothing really special happened. I barely paid attention. I think I saw Goldust dab at one point, and there was something back and forth with Ty Dillinger and Matt Hardy doing the 10 chance and the delete and all that kind of stuff. But in the end, it came down to the past 2 winners, Mojo Rawley and Baron Corbin, and Woken Matt, when all of a sudden Bray Wyatt appears and helps him eliminate Mojo, and then Matt manages to eliminate Baron Corbin. And for a second, we thought, Bray was in the match, but no, they hesitated, but they eventually did ring the bell, and Matt won. Matt is the winner of the Andre Battle Royal, thanks to Bray Wyatt. So the Lake of Reincarnation has reincarnated Bray Wyatt to be an ally of Matt. So Woken Bray Wyatt debut on this show. Would you believe me if I told you this was one of the best things that happened on the entire show? So yeah, I mean, they shook hands and they posed together at the end, so I guess they're a team now. I don't know where Jeff Hardy plays into it, but he didn't show up on the show, so I don't know. A lot of guys who have been cleared and ready to go did not appear on the show, which sucks for them, but oh well. Next, we got the Cruiserweight Championship match, the finals of the Cruiserweight Championship tournament. Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Ali came out with this really cool Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat type entrance and gear and all that kind of stuff. It looked pretty cool. I was really upset to see these guys in the pre-show because I really wanted to see them get a chance to shine on the main card in the opening match, but they had a really good match here. Nothing overly special, but it was a really good match. At one point, I believe it was Mustafa Ali, he hit a Spanish fly from the top rope, or it was Cedric. They both hit Spanish flies, so, which is a really cool move to see. At one point, Alexander, Mustafa Ali was up on the top turnbuckle or rope or whatever, and Alexander pushed him off and he landed torso first on the mat outside, which just looked brutal. Ali reversed a lumbar check attempt into a reverse Hurricane Rana, spiked Alexander right on the top of his head. The two of them kept fighting back and forth, and then eventually Cedric got the better of him, hit the lumbar check, and got the win. So Cedric Alexander becomes the Cruiserweight Champion, the first Cruiserweight Champion in like a month since Enzo got fired. Speaking of which, Enzo was cleared of all charges against him, and the woman who accused him of all the sexual assault and that kind of stuff deleted all of her social media. So, not sure what that means, and not sure what that means for Enzo either, but just putting that out there. But, yeah, Cedric Alexander, new Cruiserweight Champion, figured that was going to be the outcome, and it was, so good for him. And then the Women's Battle Royal, the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal, took place. They had a few entrances, at least the horsewomen had entrances. It was Becky Lynch, they played her music, and a bunch of women came out, And then Bayley and Sasha had their own entrances. I thought that was funny. There were a few NXT women in the match. I could pick out a few immediately, like Bianca Belair, Peyton Royce, and there was a few others. Kairi Sane, I think, was in the match. Tanera Conti, she was someone from the Mae Young Classic. Dakota Kai, who we've seen on NXT a lot recently, feuding with Shayna Baszler, she was in there. At one point, all the NXT women cleared the ring and they stood tall, and there was a huge NXT chant, so I thought that was pretty cool. But in the end, everyone got dumped out, and then it came down to Sasha and Bayley. They were working together to eliminate the Riot Squad, and then the two of them had a face-off. Sasha extended her hand, Bayley shook it, and then pulled her in, and then launched her over the top rope. Thought that Bayley won, but then we all forgot about Naomi, who was in the match. She was outside the whole time, I guess. She got back in the ring and eliminated Bayley. So Naomi wins the Battle Royal. That was a shock to me. I thought Becky Lynch might get it done, or maybe a debuting Ember Moon might come out and get it done, but none of those happened. Feel kind of bad for Becky. She always a bridesmaid, never a bride. She's just been put through the ringer a lot, so sucks for her, but such is life. Happy for Naomi. Big moment for her. She had the big moment last year, so that's why I didn't think she'd get it again, but this ain't the most questionable booking decision on this show, especially when it comes to the women, so believe me, it's fine. Apparently, Okada, Tanahashi, and Minoru Suzuki were all in attendance. They were in a skybox. They were there for to see Shinsuke Nakamura, I assume. I saw a photo on Okada's Twitter page of Suzuki drinking beer, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now on to the main show. First off, pyro all night. We haven't seen pyro on WWE television in months. We had a fuck ton of it on this show. I think almost every single entrance had pyro. Like, they opened the show with pyro. There was a bunch of pyro in a lot of people's entrances, so yeah. So I hope you pyromaniacs out there got your fill, because we possibly will never ever see pyro again for the remainder of the year on any show. Maybe tomorrow night on Raw, and then maybe SmackDown, maybe, but don't hold your breath on that. Maybe they got some leftovers, but yeah, don't give your hopes up. I think the next time we'll see pyro is next year's WrestleMania in New York, which I will also be in attendance for, because New York is my hometown. Well, New York, New Jersey. Mainly New York. I grew up in Brooklyn. So, despite not having the accent. Anyway, the opening match on the main show was for the Intercontinental Championship, the triple threat match. The Miz defending against Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. No Demon Balor on the show, just regular old Finn. These guys had pretty cool entrances. Seth Rollins came out with the Ice King or whatever it is from Game of Thrones. I'm sorry to all you Game of Thrones fanatics out there. I'm completely out of the loop, but that's basically what it was. He even had the contacts and that kind of stuff. Miz came out in some really cool outfit. He sent the Miz Taraj to the back so he could do it on his own. And then Balor had a bunch of people wearing, the Balor Club shirts that are for everyone and all that kind of stuff with the LGBTQ colors and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. This match was really good. This was a really good opener. I was happy this match opened the show. I felt like this or the triple threat tag team title match, either one would have been a good choice to open the show. And I think that this did its job. I think the Cruiserweight match could have did the job too, but they did a great job. A lot of fast-paced action. Everyone looked strong. Miz looked great. Balor, Rollins, everyone looked great in this match. At one point, Miz put the figure 4 on Finn Balor, and Seth Rollins came out of nowhere and hit a frog splash onto Miz to break it up. So I thought that was pretty cool. Another point in the match, Miz hit the skull-crushing finale on Seth Rollins from the top rope. So crashed in the middle of the ring, goes to cover him, gets the 1-2, but Finn Balor, who was up on the top rope, came diving down with the coup de grace on, I think Miz is who he hit it on. And then he went back up, hit another coup de grace on the Miz, but then while he was covering him, Seth Rollins came in and gave him a curb stomp onto the Miz, got him out of there. Rollins starts stomping, getting ready, gearing up, and then he hits the curb stomp onto The Miz, and Seth Rollins wins the Intercontinental Championship. Of the three guys in this match, Seth Rollins was the guy who I least expected to win the Intercontinental Championship, but that's what happened. I thought Miz might retain, and I thought Balor, if anyone was going to win it, it'd probably best be Balor. But nope, they didn't do that. So I don't know what this means going forward. I can't even really think about, the draft and all that kind of stuff. There's no way I can think about that right now. There's only one thing I can think about with that, and that comes a little bit later on in this review. But, no, I'm happy for Seth Rollins. He, now all three members of the Shield are officially Grand Slam champions. First it was Ambrose, and then it was Roman. And now, much like Roman, who all he needed was the IC title to become a Grand Slam champion, now Seth Rollins, that was the only title he needed left, and he won it here. So, very happy for him. This was a great match to open the show, and, yeah, good stuff. Up next was the SmackDown Women's Championship match. And so it begins. Charlotte, the champion, Charlotte Flair, defending against the undefeated Empress, Asuka. Charlotte had a really cool entrance. It was kind of, majestic or whatever. She played the 2001 Space Odyssey version of that theme song. Then it was a regular entrance. Asuka had a really cool entrance too, so cool entrances. The match itself was good. I was very surprised to see it happen after the IC title match, to be honest with you. I didn't think that these two matches would go back to back, but I remember last year, AJ Shane started the show, and then Owens and Jericho came right after, so I guess this is now a new pattern of two seemingly good matches following each other at the very beginning of the show. But much like Owens and Jericho couldn't really top Shane and AJ, this match couldn't really top that triple threat opener. But they had a pretty good match. Of the all-female matches on this entire show, this was probably the best one. I can't say it was the best female match because, again, that comes a little bit later. But it was a pretty good match. Shocking finish, but let's try to call some spots. I know you want to get to that. I know I want to get to it. Charlotte went for a moonsault at one point, and it got countered into a triangle choke, so that was a really cool spot. Of course, Charlotte got out of it. Charlotte got suplexed off of the ring apron onto the floor, so Asuka looking strong. She busted out a lot of submissions in this match. She was looking strong. But then I think the turning point came where Charlotte hit a Spanish fly off the top rope. So the second time, or the third time I should say, we saw someone deliver a Spanish fly on this entire show. So Charlotte hit that. I think she tried to cover her, but it was just a 2 count. But the finish, where right almost out of nowhere, Charlotte locks in the figure 8, gets full rotation. Asuka starts pounding on the mat, but it doesn't count as a submission. But everyone in the stadium and people in my section, everyone's like, I think she's tapping out. And I'm thinking like, no, she's not tapping out. She's just banging on the mat. She is tapping out, but that should not be the tap out. But she's not tapping out. And then she taps out regular. She taps out to Charlotte, and Charlotte retains the championship. What? Hold on. Hurricane time. I need, hold on. Damn, that's good. Yeah, so 4 years after one undefeated streak came to an end in this very same building, we see another streak end. Asuka's undefeated streak over, I don't even know how many days it was. I mean, it was for the past 2 or so years, since October 2015, whatever that takeover was. Oh, no, I do know because it was a friend of mine. It's my girlfriend's birthday. October 7th, 2015, she debuted at a TakeOver Respect. That was her very first match against Dana Brooke, and now April 6th? April 8th, I'm sorry. April 8th, 2018 is when she loses her match. So, her first match. Not only did she lose, she tapped out. That's not how I expected Asuka to ever lose, but she tapped out. The fans, as you can believe, were shocked. You could hear a pin drop in the building, just like all those years ago. I was in the crowd when The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar and fell to the undefeated streak. That was a huge moment. This, of course, was not on that level, but it was a big moment. And, yeah. Asuka got on the microphone after the match and said that Charlotte was ready for Asuka and told her congratulations. The two hugged. The fans gave them a standing ovation and clapped for him. Yeah. And Charlotte left. And then John Cena, who stayed in his seat and in the crowd the whole time, some random referee ran over to John Cena at his seat and told him he's here. I guess is what you people were saying, because all we saw was just a referee talking to John Cena. And then he hopped up out of his seat, hopped the barricade, and just ran up the stage to the back. Completely just glossed over this whole Asuka thing. I think we needed a minute to soak in the fact that Asuka's undefeated streak just ended, but nope. Guess we didn't need that much time. So I didn't particularly like that. I didn't like Asuka losing at all to Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte needed to have that accomplishment. I think she's had enough accomplishments. I think that could have been built up a little more to give to someone else. Here I am thinking, oh, they'll probably keep Asuka undefeated for another year or something like that. She didn't even win the championship yet, and they already beat her. She hasn't won she held the NXT women's title for 500 plus days, but she hasn't even won a single championship on the main roster yet. This was her first match for a championship, and she lost. This was her very first, think about that, on the main roster. This was her very first championship match, and she lost. It seems a little redundant to drink again, so I'm not going to drink right now, but believe me, it'll come into play more as the show goes on. Unbelievable. But yeah, Charlotte's still the champion. I have no idea where they're going with this. I have no idea what they're going to do with Asuka now. Honestly, I expected her to turn heel after this match. Instead, the Japanese heel turn came later in a different match. But, yeah, that was, whatever. So like I mentioned, John Cena ran up the ramp because apparently The Undertaker arrived and the match was going to happen. So up next, we had the U.S. Championship Fatal 4-Way match, the match that I cared the least about on this entire show. Randy Orton defending against Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and Rusev on Rusev Day. What a shitty Rusev Day this turned out to be. For Rusev, that is, because he lost. My section, we're still talking about Asuka and going through the 5 stages of grief over Asuka losing and the way they handled that, so we weren't really paying much attention to this match. I did see Randy hit a bunch of RKOs on everyone. Fans were chanting glorious and all that kind of stuff, but no one really cared. Rusev, it looked like he was about to get the win. He was setting up for the accolade on Jinder when Sunil Singh came up on the apron. Rusev knocked him off, and then Jinder hit him with the Colossus and got the victory. So Jinder Mahal is the new United States champion. I didn't care about this feud, and I don't care about the outcome. The only thing that I would have cared about was seeing Rusev win, but hey. Of course, WWE has the guy almost no one wanted to win the match. I mean, of course, that's the only natural solution to a match like this. The guy that almost nobody wants to win wins. And not only that, he pins the guy that everyone wants to win. The guy no one wanted to win the match pins the guy that literally everyone in this crowd wanted to win. So, of course, it's so, when you really say it, it's so perfect. And so WWE. So yeah, Jinder wins, who cares? Let's move on to important shit like this next match. This match, the mixed tag team match, Stephanie McMahon and Triple H versus Kurt Angle, and the in-ring debut of Rowdy Ronda Rousey. Triple H and Stephanie's motorcycle entrances were really cool. Seeing Kurt Angle come out with the singlet was really cool. Ronda Rousey had a kilt, had somewhat modified gear of Roddy Piper. So entrances were cool, all that stuff. This match, I knew going into it, it was going to be, a fun match. Kurt and Triple H were going to mix it up, and Ronda would, of course, get the better of Stephanie and all that kind of stuff, and it'd be over and done with in a little bit. This match went on for a while. I don't know how long it went. It had to have gone over 20 minutes, but, not for nothing. Like I said, this was the best match of the night. Up to this point, it was the best match of the night. You could debate the triple threat, but I'd say this one was better. And then by the end of the night, about 20 hours later when the show finally ended, this was still the best match of the entire night. I loved the hell out of this match. It was so much fun. And Ronda, holy shit. But before I get into that, let me go over a few things. Stephanie, she was throwing some cheap shots at Ronda. She even, when she had her back turned, she kind of pulled her hair and slammed her down. So Stephanie throwing some cheap shots in there. But so then we had Triple H and Kurt wrestle each other for a little while. But then once Ronda got in there, once Kurt tagged in Ronda and she got in there and her and Stephanie went at it, she was impressive as all hell, doing a lot of, different, takedowns and flips and all that kind of stuff. She looked great. She looked like a natural. She looked in great shape. Like I said, I had a pretty good view of the ring. It was pretty far, but I had a pretty good view of the ring and I could see her. She looked great. I mean, Stephanie looked great too, as well as did Kurt and Triple H. They all looked great. But Ronda was very impressive in this match. She was the star of the match, obviously. Then eventually Stephanie got the better of her. She started to go on the offense a little bit, but eventually she got taken down. Ronda had her dead to rights. She was about to pin her, but then Triple H pulled the referee out of the way. Then he yanked Ronda out of there, and he threw Kurt Angle over the announce table, not threw it or into her. He threw him over the announce table. And this led to a face-to-face confrontation between Ronda Rousey and Triple H. The fans were going apeshit. Like, these fans, let me tell you about these fans here in New Orleans. They were on their feet. They were into this match. They were just digging everything that was going on. They were booing everything Triple H and Stephanie did. They were popping huge for Ronda. To be honest, when she came out, she got a really good reaction. They popped for her and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't completely sold on her. They were chanting, "We want Ronda," because they wanted to see what she would do. And then once she got in there, she won these fans over big time. So I think she was probably the most over person on the entire show. So she was doing great. And her and Triple H had a little face off. And eventually, Stephanie eventually did come back in. She slapped Ronda, because I think she took down Triple H. So she slapped Ronda, and then they ran around. Kurt Angle hit a angle slam on Triple H, only good for a 2 count. Stephanie got in there, and Kurt put her in the ankle lock. So the GM puts the commissioner in the ankle lock. So bad at the office tomorrow, or later today, depending on when you listen to this. Triple H then spun Kurt around, hit him with a pedigree. But Ronda broke it up. Triple H almost hit a pedigree on Ronda, but then she got out of it and put him in the armbar. I swear to God, I thought he was about to tap out. I was about to be like, well, what kind of finish is that? Like, I mean, yeah, Triple H, he's the big bad guy and all, but I mean, this is about Ronda and Stephanie. That's the feud, so we should be focusing on them. So luckily, Stephanie, she came in and she broke it up. So she put her in a rear naked choke, by the way, so I thought that was pretty cool. So then everyone's fighting, and then eventually Ronda gets Stephanie in an armbar, and Kurt locks Triple H in the ankle lock. So simultaneous submissions going on here. Triple H got out of his move by kind of launching Kurt, like he kind of kicked Kurt outwards, and Kurt collided with Ronda, so the submissions were broken. And then Stephanie and Triple H, they went to give both of them pedigrees, but Kurt sent Triple H over the top rope, so he was a non-factor for the rest of the match. And then Ronda put Stephanie in an armbar. She was trying to separate, because Stephanie still had her fingers locked in, so she didn't completely get it yet. So Ronda kind of slowly went up and used her shoulder to kind of break Stephanie's grip. And then once she locked it in, she kind of yanked back and gave you the impression that she broke Stephanie's arm. And Stephanie immediately tapped. And the babyfaces win. Kurt and Ronda win. Ronda wins her very first match in WWE. And not for nothing, it was very impressive. I was very impressed by Ronda Rousey on this show. This was, like I said, this was the best match of the night. The referees and doctors and all that kind of stuff were checking on Ronda after the match. I mean, not Ronda, Stephanie. Like I said, maybe she did break her arm, but I mean, from the perspective, from my point of view, it didn't look like it was a real break. She broke Stephanie's arm the same way Brock broke Triple H and Shawn Michaels and all those guys' arms when he used the Kimura lock. So, I don't know. I didn't think but I mean, that was the only way this match could end. Whether it was real or not, the only way this match could properly end was Ronda Rousey breaking Stephanie McMahon's arm. If you see that promo video and how cocky and arrogant Stephanie was and all that kind of stuff, the only way to beat her is to break her arm. And that's what happened here. So hopefully she's gone now. The past 2 years, Stephanie takes a big bump at Mania, and then she's gone for a long time. So hopefully she can be gone. But I feel like things are not completely over here, but hopefully they will be. I don't know what Kurt's future is. I assume he won't be GM for much longer, but we'll see. Up next was the triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. The Usos making their first appearance on the WrestleMania main card, facing the New Day and the Bludgeon Brothers. The New Day, their pancake entrance. They came out. There was some big arch with pancakes up on the stage, and then a bunch of midgets wearing pancakes came out holding stacks of pancakes, started throwing them out to the crowd. They were running around with the New Day, because it was funny, because Xavier Woods, he sounded his trombone, and then the midgets came out. I don't know if it's appropriate to say midgets. Should I say dwarves or little persons or something like that? Some little guys came out wearing pancakes, holding pancakes. So that was probably the best thing that happened in this match, because once the match started, it was wild. Everyone was trying to take down the Bludgeon Brothers, but no one could. They were some wrecking crews out there, and eventually they hit their powerbomb finish on Kofi from the top rope and got the win, much like I figured they would. The Bludgeon Brothers they win the tag team titles, their first championship win for Harper and Rowan as a team all those years in the Wyatt family, which didn't seem like that long, but they teamed together then, and now in this new incarnation as a team, they finally win championships. So good for them. Maybe the Authors of Pain can debut on SmackDown this week, and they can confront them, and that can be the start of a new feud. But I don't know. I expect the Authors of Pain to debut at some point this week. I just don't know what show. Maybe if you want to, I don't know if you want to do that match right out the gate, but if you did, that'd be a hell of a way to debut him going up against that team. We'll see. Up next, John Cena came out. The ring, intro, everything, introduced him. Came out in his gear, his green shirt and all that kind of stuff. He was out there ready for a match. A referee was already out there. Then a second referee ran down the ramp, got in the ring. Once again, you couldn't hear what was being said, but you can kind of guess what was happening. He was telling him that the Undertaker was not there. And John Cena, grabbed the referee and all that kind of stuff. And then he went to leave when the lights went out. And we heard the strum of a guitar. And then the lights came back on, and it was Elias. Came out there with his guitar, came out, got in the ring. He was mocking the fans, and the fans rejected this, of course. They wanted the Undertaker. But Elias came out, sang a little song, and then John Cena, who left the ring and went back to his original spot, he came back in, laid out Elias with his moves and all that kind of stuff, hit him with the attitude adjustment. I see now they did this to get his moves out of the way because he wasn't going to be using them pretty soon here. But he got Elias out of there, looked around, they played his music, he went to leave. He walked pretty far up the rampway when the lights completely went out. Then they showed in the ring the Undertaker's gear. They just magically appeared in the ring, and then a lightning bolt hit the ring. There was a spotlight, and then the lightning bolt just struck the ring. Lights go back out, spotlight comes back on, the gear is gone. Of course, there were people who grabbed the stuff and put it in there and then took it back out, but let's not worry about that. So then the lights go out, and out comes the Undertaker. Plain old dead man Undertaker, the slow entrance, the regular theme song, all that, just regular old Undertaker came out, made his entrance, and he looked good. I'm not even gonna lie, I did not want to see the Undertaker wrestle again after last year. I thought last year was the perfect send-off for him. Didn't want to see him wrestle again, had no interest in seeing him wrestle again, but he did come out here and look great. He started off hot with John Cena, giving him all the moves, last ride, doing all that stuff. He was moving around great. And then Cena took over, hit him with the 5-knuckle shuffle. Well, no, he hit him with the side slam or whatever. Went to deliver the 5-knuckle shuffle when the Undertaker sat up and gave Cena a chokeslam. Cena almost kind of like backed off, like, hey, whoa. And then Undertaker, rushed him, gave him a chokeslam. Then got him up for the tombstone and pinned him. 1, 2, 3, the Undertaker wins. What's he like? This is like 24-2 or something like that. The Undertaker beats John Cena in like 3 minutes. So a few years ago at SummerSlam, John Cena gets squashed by Brock Lesnar in 15 minutes. And now all these years later at WrestleMania, he gets squashed by the Undertaker in like 3 minutes. Weeks and weeks of John Cena talking so much shit about the Undertaker, saying he has no balls, saying he's a bitch and a coward and a loser and all that kind of, I don't know if you call him a bitch, but I threw that in there. Talking all this shit. Then he comes out and the Undertaker beats him in like 5 minutes. Now you would think, now that's the perfect payoff to like some cocky heel or something like that. But no, this was John Cena, the supposed biggest face in the entire company, 16-time world champion. He does all this stuff for weeks and then gets taken out like a chump on this show. You could say, okay, John Cena wasn't really truly ready for him, and that's why it happened, but either way, you know what? I'm willing to admit when I was wrong. Now, I'm not going to completely admit it because I'm not going to say, oh, I was so happy to see The Undertaker, I wanted this all along, because I didn't. After that ending to WrestleMania 33 last year, I had no interest in seeing The Undertaker wrestle ever again. I recently watched WrestleMania 33 like 2 weeks ago and saw the ending of that match and just thought, this is a complete waste now. I mean, it's special, but it's nowhere near as emotional as it was originally when we thought this was his last match. Which, by the way, I didn't hear the commentators, obviously, but judging by people's tweets and just my own eyes, there was no indication that this was The Undertaker's last match, so maybe it was. I doubt it. He looked good, wrestled for like barely 3 minutes, and beat Cena, looked strong. I seriously doubt that was his last match. So, I don't know what the hell is going on with The Undertaker. I just give up trying to guess what he's going to do anymore. I give up. I don't know when The Undertaker's ever going to retire. Maybe he won't. Maybe one day he's just going to die in the middle of the ring. I don't want to say that, knocking on wood or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, there's just no way to predict anymore when he's going to retire, because it's clearly pointless to even try to predict it. So, yeah, but aside from all that, I'm willing to admit that this was pretty cool. I did want to see Big Evil, or American Badass, or something like that, ride out on the motorcycle, but when Triple H and Stephanie did their motorcycle entrance, it felt like it'd be pretty redundant to 2 matches later have The Undertaker come out on his motorcycle, so that did not happen. But, the regular dead man, so I was kind of disappointed at that, and I was gearing up for like some 10-15 minute match, but it was over in like 2 or 3, so, like I said, Taker looked great, the presentation looked great. It was, pretty shocking to see John Cena beaten so handily, at the hands of a 52-year-old man who hasn't wrestled in over a year. He looked a hell of a lot better than he did in that match with Roman last year, which, in the moment, thinking it was Undertaker's last match was very emotional for me, and I thought the match was much better than it really was, but it was not that good. And the streak of bad Roman Reigns main events continues, but we'll get into that later. Throwing a little shade there, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, Undertaker looked great, and it's easy to look great in 5 minutes, I guess, so yeah. And like I said, I don't know where they go with him from here. It's all up to him, what he wants to do, so it's whatever. Maybe tonight on Raw, he'll come out and announce that he is officially retired. They'll give him a big standing ovation, no swerves or anything like that. He just leaves, and that's it. Hopefully that happens, but who knows? Up next was the tag team match from the SmackDown brand, the second Authority versus Talent match on this show. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Shane McMahon and the returning Daniel Bryan. If Sami and Kevin win, they get their jobs back on SmackDown. If they lose, they remain fired. As you can imagine, a huge ovation for Daniel Bryan. Just went ape shit for the guy when he came out. Then when Owens and Zayn, their music hit, but they came from behind and attacked Shane and Bryan. They gave Bryan the powerbomb on the ring apron, and Bryan kind of laid out for majority of the match. The trainers and that kind of stuff came out with a stretcher, were checking on him the whole time, and then Shane got in the ring and decided to fight by himself, and he fought in a handicap match. He was doing good, fake punches and all, in the beginning, but he kept cradling his stomach and abdomen, because of course he has diverticulitis or whatever the hell he had everything except the Black Plague. Maybe he had that too, but yeah, he was in rough shape, but he fought on. But then eventually numbers game came up to him. He got beat down for a pretty long time. He did come back at one point, and he even hit a coast to coast on Sami Zayn, right into Sami's head. But it wasn't enough. Owens ended up hitting with a frog splash when, out of nowhere, Daniel Bryan got back in the ring and broke up the pin. Fans started to go crazy and then start to build to the hot tag, and eventually Bryan gets tagged in, gets in the match, and he goes crazy on Sami, on Kevin, and just Daniel Bryan of old. Hadn't lost a step. There was an attempt at a "You Still Got It" chant, but it kind of got, drowned out after a while. Didn't last forever. He eventually did get hit with the Helluva Kick and also a pop-up powerbomb. Kicked out of both of them respectively. It was a Helluva Kick first, kicked out, and then he got laid out with the pop-up powerbomb, but he kicked out of that too. So then when Owens went to do some more damage to Shane, who he had originally knocked off the apron, Shane got back up on the apron. Owens went after him, but then Shane kind of pulled the rope down. Owens landed over. Shane dove onto him off the apron, gave him like a clothesline. Now it's down to Bryan and Sami, exactly like I imagined it would be. The two of them go crazy on one another. Get the yes kicks in there and all that kind of stuff. Hits Sami with the running knee and then locks him in the yes lock. Sami taps. Up to this point, this was a submission. Well, this was the second out of 3 submissions on the show that we could agree with. And yeah, Daniel Bryan gets the big victory on the same in the same building that he won the World Heavyweight Championship just 4 years ago. He and Shane win. Owens and Zayn remain fired, even though I imagine they'll probably end up on Raw. They could probably end up on Raw tomorrow night for all we know. But yeah, they remain fired, and Bryan gets the big win. He went over to hug his wife and hug and kiss her, who was in the front row. Shane did the same with his wife and kids. Shane finally wins a match. He's not a complete loser. Granted, he won a match that the person who won the match for him while he was laid out on the other side, but hey, he won a match. Shane McMahon won a match. And this storyline that has taken up so much time on SmackDown over the last few months is finally over. So, let it rest in peace. They announced an attendance number of 78,133. Not sure if that includes Cena or not, but that's what it was. Then up next was the Raw Women's Championship match. Alexa Bliss with Mickie James in her corner, not for long, but still there, against Nia Jax. Alexa had a pedestal entrance. She kind of lowered down on this really cool looking pedestal, and she came out, and then Nia Jax came out. Nia killed Mickie James, just tossed her all around ringside, and eventually gave her a Samoan drop on the outside. So completely laid her out. And the actual match itself happened and was not all that great. It went much longer than I thought it was going to, and to be honest, much longer than it probably should have gone. But yeah, it went on for a while. This match probably should have now. I mean, who am I to say it should have gone on for like 2 or so minutes, or get the ivory china from WrestleMania 17, my very first WrestleMania I attended, by the way, get that treatment, and have 2 squash matches on the same show when literally a few matches back, Undertaker just squashed John Cena. But I don't know. I mean, it seemed like Nia got a little gassed, as this match went on. It had to have gone like 10 or so minutes. It went on much longer than it probably should have. But and the crowd kind of started to come down. A lot of the energy they, used up cheering for Bryan. The Undertaker stuff, even all the way back to the Ronda stuff, which sucked a lot of life out of the crowd. They started to really come down because there was nothing interesting going on in this match. And eventually, Nia did win. She hit a Samoan drop from the second rope and got the win. I was shocked that no Carmella cash-in attempt. I was kind of hoping it would happen, but it did not. There's always backlash, but I don't know. But yeah, good for Nia Jax. She is the new Raw Women's Champion, and she has more championships than Asuka does, so there you go. Then up next, the Dream Match that they were calling it for weeks. The WWE Championship match, AJ Styles defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Hyping this match up to be this big, epic dream match. They had the big entrance for Nakamura, Nita Strauss, who was the guitarist for Alice Cooper back in the day, and a bunch of violinists. They played out Nakamura for his entrance, which was really cool. AJ came out. The fans were really into it, and then they kind of remained silent for the majority of the match. But the guys worked hard to get them back into it. But yeah, for like the first, I want to say 60, 70% of the match, the fans were kind of down. Then the last 5 or so minutes, they really got into it because they started to really deliver. This match, a lot of people say it didn't live up to the hype. I've seen some people say it sucked. In fact, there was one guy in my section who started drinking before a single match took place on the show, way back at the pre-show. He was pretty out of it, but he did not like this match, but I don't trust his opinion since he was so drunk. But he did not like this match. He thought it sucked. Some other people thought this was the best match in the show. I completely disagree with them. I say, whatever your expectations were for this match, they either just barely met them or fell slightly short but still had a good match. I refuse to call this match anything less than good. It was very good at that, but what they were hyping this match up to be, it wasn't quite that, but it was good. Now I can see you thinking that because it wasn't as great or phenomenal, not to sound redundant, but phenomenal, as they were hyping it up to be, this big epic dream match, the match the fans have wanted ever since Nakamura came to WWE and AJ came to WWE and all that kind of stuff. A lot of fans who like to make fun of people like that, they were having a field day with this match, but I thought it was good. But if you judge it by how they built it up, then yeah, I could see how you would feel a little disappointed. There's a lot of good back and forth action in this match. Calf crusher, triangle choke, and all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of good stuff. In fact, the triangle choke spot, Nakamura had AJ in a triangle choke, and then AJ got out of it by kind of lifting Nakamura up and then dumped him and just drove him right onto the back of his neck, which it looked pretty brutal. AJ hit the phenomenal forearm, but only good for a 2 count. By this point, the fans were really into it. Up to this point, they were doing moves, just kind of basic stuff, nothing really special, but by this point, the fans were really getting into it. They really got behind the match. They just started slugging it out and all that kind of stuff. But the finish, which was a clever finish, I thought it was going to be a clever near fall, but it was a very clever finish. And that all Nakamura's been talking about the last few weeks was knee to face and all that kind of stuff. So he went for the knee to face. He went for the Kinshasa, but AJ rolled through it and turned Nakamura upside down and kind of inside out or whatever, and turned it into the Styles Clash and got the win. Got the clean win over Nakamura. So both Royal Rumble winners lose at WrestleMania. Both Japanese talents lose at WrestleMania. But I thought the finish was really creative. I thought it was a really cool looking finish. The fans really reacted to it. They were pretty shocked to see Nakamura lose. But I dug the finish. A lot of divided opinion on what came afterwards, though. What came afterwards, they shook hands, they kind of hugged, they were kind of, face to face, holding each other. Nakamura took the belt from the ref, and he knelt down and presented it to AJ, which AJ accepted. Once Nakamura got down on one knee, it was clear what was about to happen. He was going to be like John Cena last year and propose. Nah, I'm just kidding. It was pretty obvious what was about to happen. I didn't think they'd have the balls to do it, but then they went and did it as soon as I thought that. And yeah, so Nakamura's down on one knee. AJ goes to raise the belt, and then Nakamura gives AJ a low blow, effectively turning heel. You don't give a man, let alone AJ Styles, a low blow at WrestleMania and not expect a heel turn. The fans were kind of cheering at first because they're like, oh, wow, didn't see this coming. But then they started getting into it and they started to boo him. Not Tommaso Ciampa levels of booing, but they started to boo him. Nakamura started to kick him and stomp on him and all that kind of stuff. Kicked him out of the ring, started to leave, but then he backed up and he collided with the Kinshasa. See, if only he had done that during the match, he would have won the title, but he couldn't pull the trigger, so that was his own fault. But so Nakamura's heel. I understand a lot of people are upset about this. One of the most over baby faces on the entire roster. People still sing his song every single week. They turned him heel. I say, let's see where it goes. Was it kind of random? Yeah, but let's see where it goes. People were kind of, put off by them turning Sami Zayn heel, and even though I got sick to death of him and Kevin Owens and Shane and Bryan clogging up so much TV time on SmackDown, it eventually did work out. So that was, it worked out for them. It worked out for him, I should say. So you never know with Nakamura. Plus, Nakamura was a heel in Japan before the fans turned him babyface. He was a heel originally, so he can play the role. It's just a matter of how they're going to do it in WWE. So I'm sure we'll see how this unfolds on SmackDown this week. But I'm intrigued. Maybe he will get the belt at the next pay-per-view, and he'll be champion as a heel. But I don't know. I think it'd be cool if at Backlash, the same pay-per-view that AJ won his first WWE title by giving Dean Ambrose a low blow, I think it'd be pretty fitting if these guys have a rematch at Backlash in a few weeks or a month or so, and Nakamura gives AJ a low blow to win the championship. I think that'd be pretty fitting if they do it like that. So, early prediction right now, Nakamura wins the belt at Backlash with the low blow and has a heel run as champion and then defends the title against Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. Up next. So these last two matches are what really put people off from this show. Because up to this point, people thought it was pretty good, but these last two matches and the decisions with these last two matches is what really drove people over the wall. So it was the Bar defending the tag team titles against Braun Strowman and a mystery partner. The Bar came out with this Mardi Gras-like float entrance, and then Braun came out. All the people in masks and costumes and stuff like that, they ran away from him. He tossed the float off the stage. Braun gets in the ring, gets on the mic, and says he waited all the way up to WrestleMania to announce his partner because his partner is going to be a member of the audience. He's going to go out into the audience and choose a tag team partner, to which he walked around. He didn't go close enough to my section. Where the section that he went into, I basically was on the other side of that, so no such luck for me. I would have been his tag team partner, but he instead chose a small child, a little boy who he basically kidnapped. He brought him to the ring with him, told him to just stay on the apron while he beats up Sheamus and Cesaro, which he did. They got the better of him at one point, but for the most part, he beat them up. He did tag in the kid, whose name was Nicholas. He said his name. The fans were chanting, we want Nicholas, and all that kind of stuff. He did tag him in for a second. He came face to face with Cesaro. This kid looked completely terrified. He looked scared shitless. But Braun immediately tagged out, hit Cesaro with the running power slam, and Braun Strowman and Nicholas are your tag team champions. Now, let me just say, I don't understand how we live in a world where this kid has won a championship before the likes of Sami Zayn, or at least main roster-wise, Nakamura, and Asuka, and Braun Strowman. This was Braun Strowman's first championship win, so that doesn't really count. So forget I said that. But yeah, this kid, who was the second most over person on this entire show behind Ronda, in my opinion, is a champion before a lot of other big names currently, and a lot of big names in history won championships in WWE, So, it's that time again. Still some left. Sorry for drinking like this, but it was getting to me now. Whew. Oh, that shit's good. You probably don't know, but I've paused the recording a few times to actually drink, so I went through one cup and now I'm on to another one, so it's like my sixth one, so I'm still hanging in there. We're gonna get through this, but Braun wins the tag team titles with a young boy who he took to the back with him. We didn't even see his parents. This boy just came out of nowhere and won a tag team championship on this show. I don't understand what the fuck this was. I don't. The people in the crowd in the stadium, they went crazy for it. They popped, like I said, they had a Nicholas chant and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of you on Twitter did not like it. I can imagine watching a long show like this and coming to the second to last match and seeing Braun Strowman and a young child win tag team championships is probably not the best image to go out on, but it happened, whether you like it or not. So I doubt this is gonna carry on. I doubt we're gonna see we might, but I don't know what the hell I don't know what this was. I really don't. Cesaro and Sheamus lost to a kid. Fuck Sheamus. Cesaro lost to a kid 4 years ago in New Orleans at WrestleMania. He body slammed Big Show and won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Got a huge babyface reaction. 4 years later, he's on the piss break buffer match before the main event, losing to a 10-year-old. Then now forever, WWE. This ain't the drinks talking here. This is me. Maybe it is the drinks. I don't know. But you know what? I'm gonna need a nice swig as I talk about this match. We're about an hour Let's go another hour. I ain't gonna keep you guys that long. I'll make this short. Talk about the main event, the Universal Championship match, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Brock won. The end. Brock won, and the fans didn't give a shit about the match all the way up until Brock won. So there you go. If you want more detail than that, Brock hit a bunch of suplexes on Roman. Roman hit a bunch of Superman punches on Brock. I swear to God, this man does not know any other move other than the Superman punch, but there you go. So he hit a bunch of Superman punches on Brock, but eventually Brock got out of it. Hit a bunch more suplexes. I didn't care to count, and you know what? The fans didn't really care to count either, because they started boring chants and NXT chants and a bunch of other stuff. I saw some beach balls brought out. I thought they were banned, but apparently they brought them out. I think security did confiscate them, which was got booed, but whatever. Meanwhile, in the ring, Brock is giving Roman a bunch of F5s. He laid him out with like 5 F5s at one point. I think it was like 3 in a row, and Roman kicked out of all of them. And then they go out to the outside. Or before that, Roman speared Brock. Brock kicked out. And then Brock gave him like a sick knee to the face, which was probably the best spot of the match, because it was the only move that wasn't a spear, a suplex, an F5, or a Superman punch in this entire fucking match. So they go back onto the outside. Brock F5s Roman through the announce table. Get back in. Roman kicks out. No one gives a fuck. Like I said, fans are getting boring. Just not paying attention. These big moves and big kickouts are happening, and no one gives the slightest shit. Brock hits a 5th F5, and Roman kicks out. No one cares. Then Brock starts raining down elbow shots on Roman, busts him open, a la Randy Orton Brock Lesnar match from SummerSlam 2016. So Roman's busted open hard way. The fans started to chant, "This is awful," which was pushing it. I don't know if this was awful. It was nowhere near as entertaining as their match at WrestleMania 31, I can tell you that. Roman then proceeded to hit 2 spears. Brock kicked out of him. He was gearing up for another one, gaining momentum, hit one side of the ropes, hit another, but then Brock caught him, hit him with the F5, and beat him 1, 2, 3. Brock Lesnar retains the Universal Championship 1 year after winning it at last year's WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar is still the Universal Champion. For all I know, his contract is still coming up tonight, or this morning. It was up at 11:59. It is well past 11:59 as I'm recording this. And for all I know, Brock does not have a new contract, although he has to since he won here. I have no idea. All I know is Brock won this match. This match was not good. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't awful as 90% of the fans in the stadium would lead you to believe. It was not awful. I didn't think it was that bad, but it wasn't good. That's 4 years in a row Roman Reigns main events WrestleMania, and that's 3 years in a row it sucks. The match with Triple H at WrestleMania 32 that I was also at in attendance sucked. I was at home last year for WrestleMania 33 with that match against Undertaker. Like I said, I kind of got caught up in the moment with it potentially being Undertaker's last match, but even then I could tell it wasn't really that good. Seeing it later on, it was worse. This match was not good. So, and Brock winning. Brock, the guy who has not been pinned since the 30 or however long match it was with Goldberg at Survivor Series 2016. He hasn't been pinned since then. He won the title last year at WrestleMania. He beat Samoa Joe. He beat Braun Strowman. He beat AJ Styles. He came all the way here. They spent the entire year building up Roman. Roman beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania last year. He beat John Cena. He went through countless people on the Raw roster like Samoa Joe and Miz and Rollins and Balor and others. Braun Strowman takes out every single other person in the Elimination Chamber match, and Roman beats him. He gets to WrestleMania. They're building this whole story of how Roman is here. The championship needs to be on a full-time guy. We're sick of part-time Lesnar. I'm going to go to WrestleMania and beat him. All this stuff building up to WrestleMania only for Roman to lose. Wouldn't shock me that Roman lost because Vince just wanted to screw with the fans who all thought this match was predictable. And I'll give him credit for not having a predictable finish. I give him credit for that. A lot of the matches on the show were very unpredictable finishes. I give him credit for that. Doesn't mean I have to like it. This was not a good match. The last two matches really sucked the life out of this show, really brought it down. And yeah, like I said, I didn't agree with all the chants the fans had during this match, but them not reacting to a lot of the big moves, like we're supposed to be shocked that, oh, Roman kicks out of an F5, even though we knew it was going to happen. But you know what this match reminded me of? Another WrestleMania that I was in attendance for. The Rock versus John Cena at WrestleMania 29, where the match went for 30 minutes, and the last 10 minutes was the two of them just trading finishers back and forth, and it sucked, and John Cena won the championship. That match sucked. That was a terrible WrestleMania main event. This match, no different, except whereas that match, the finisher stuff happened in the last 10 or so minutes, this match was about 10 or so minutes, so it was the entire match. Suplexes, about 1,000 Superman punches, about 10 F5s, a bunch of spears. Roman got sympathy blood, which didn't work. One F5 in the end, and Brock retains. Like I said, I'll give him kudos for the unpredictable finish, but yeah, this was not, whatever. I'm gonna drink again. Not a good finish. Didn't like it at all, but whatever. I don't know what they're gonna do here. Maybe tonight on Raw, Brock will come out, issue a challenge. Bobby Lashley will come out. Maybe he'll be the next person to challenge him for the title at Backlash. Maybe Bobby Lashley will face him for the championship on Raw and beat him. You know what? I joked a few weeks ago that maybe there could be a chance that Brock beats Roman at WrestleMania, and then Bobby Lashley comes out, makes his return to the company on Raw the next night, and then beats Brock in 5 or so minutes and wins the championship there. There's a good chance that might happen, because at this point, who the fuck else can beat Brock? That is the only option of who can beat Brock at this point, since Roman couldn't do it. Roman failed in the 4-way a few months ago at SummerSlam, and he failed here in the singles match. So I guess we're led to believe that Roman can't win the big one. So that sucks. For him, at least. I don't give a shit, but I mean, I'm not as big a fan of Roman Reigns as I was before, years ago. And Brock, I can take it or leave it. But, I'm tired of Brock's reign as champion, and I was kind of ready for it to end, but clearly they're not. It's going to extend for at least one more day, maybe even one more month. Maybe they might be so spiteful to end CM Punk's, his record as champion. I think they're 2 months away from Brock breaking that record. Maybe they might wait till then. Maybe somehow Vince got Brock to re-sign a contract on this night, and he wants to break Punk's record so they don't have to ever mention him again. And Brock will be champion for 435 days plus. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm very perplexed by this finish to a very perplexing WrestleMania. That's a pretty big word for a drunk man like me, but yeah, that's what I'll tell you. This was a perplexing WrestleMania. One of the worst of all time. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret later. I'll probably already have, but I don't want to say any declarative statement like that. Other than the fact that the mixed tag team match was the best match in this show. Drunk or sober, that is true. This, oh boy. This was a very interesting WrestleMania. Do I even have to mention TakeOver? Do we even have to do that? Do we have to go there? I don't think we have to go there. I don't think that's necessary. Quite frankly, I don't feel like going there. So yeah, up to this point, I've enjoyed New Orleans. It's been great. Been here since Thursday. I'm leaving on Wednesday, so I've been enjoying a lot of the sights. Eating a lot of good food. Went to the zoo. Played around at golf. Did a lot of good stuff. Went to Takeover. Went to the Hall of Fame, which I didn't really like all that much. Went to Access for a little bit. Saw a few of the matches in their little tournaments there. Came to WrestleMania. And then I'll be at Raw tomorrow night. And possibly SmackDown Tuesday. But I don't know. WrestleMania zapped a lot of energy out of me. I got it back, but it zapped a lot of energy out of me. So that's about it for me. I don't know if I'm going to review Raw. It depends on what happens, and also if I have the strength and willpower to do it. How I managed to go an hour and 10 minutes for this review, I don't know, but I did it somehow. But we'll see. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that happened in this show, very confusing. If you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed the show, then hats off to you. I wish I could be like you to enjoy this show. I give it a thumbs in the middle. There's a lot of good stuff on this show, but a lot of stuff that just left me confused. And that main event, the match itself and the finish, just left a lot to be desired. So that's about it for me, guys. I'm sorry that you listen to me drunk ramble about this show, but it happens. So talk to y'all later.